Beauty sat beside her father's bed. She was only 6 years old, with bright eyes that always sparkled when she smiled. But that morning, her eyes were filled with tears. Her tiny hands clutched her father's rough, cold hand. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice shaking, "please don't leave me." Mr. Edward looked at her with tired eyes. He was a kind man, tall, gentle, and full of wisdom. He used to teach children at the village school. His voice had always been full of joy when he read stories to Beauty or sang to her before bedtime. But now, his voice was weak, barely more than a whisper. He smiled softly, even though his face looked pale. "My little Beauty," he said, slowly, struggling to breathe. "Daddy loves you. Never forget that." A tear rolled down Beauty's cheek. She nodded, holding his hand tighter. "I love you too, Daddy," she said in a tiny voice. Mrs. Evelyn, her mother, stood at the foot of the bed praying quietly. She was tired. Her eyes were swollen from crying every night. She had tried everything she could to save her husband. She sold most of her clothes and even her wedding ring to buy medicine. But nothing seemed to work. Mr. Edward had fallen sick 2 months ago. At first, everyone thought it was just malaria. But as the days went by, his condition grew worse. He stopped eating, stopped walking, and could barely talk. They took him to the hospital, but the doctor said he needed special treatment, something that cost more money than they could ever afford. So, they brought him back home and started using native medicine. Every day, Mrs. Evelyn boiled herbs and gave him to drink. Every night, she prayed, asking God for a miracle. Beauty sat beside her father every evening, fanning him gently and telling him stories just like he used to tell her. Sometimes she would sing his favorite song, hoping he would smile again. But that morning was different. The house was too quiet. Even the birds outside seemed to have stopped singing. Mr. Edward's breathing grew slower. His hand became colder in Beauty's small palm. "Daddy?" Beauty whispered again, her eyes wide with fear. He opened his eyes one last time and looked at her. "Be good, my child," he murmured faintly. "Take care of your mother." Then his eyes slowly closed. For a few seconds, the world stood still. Mrs. Evelyn rushed to his side, shaking him gently. "Edward! Edward, please wake up!" But he didn't move. Her cries turned into loud wails that filled the tiny house. Beauty started crying too, not fully understanding what had happened, but feeling the pain in her mother's voice. Neighbors came running. Some held Mrs. Evelyn as she wept uncontrollably. Others carried Beauty away gently, trying to calm her. Their small home was filled with sorrow, and the walls seemed to echo with pain. That day, everything changed. For the first time in her life, Beauty realized what it meant to lose someone you love. Her heart broke, but she didn't yet understand that her world would never be the same again. Outside, the sun continued to shine, but for Beauty and her mother, it felt like the light had gone out forever. The days after the burial were dark and quiet. The house that was once filled with laughter now felt empty. The walls seemed to whisper memories of Mr. Edward's voice, his songs, his gentle laughter, his prayers before bedtime. But now, silence lived there. Each morning, Beauty woke up and looked at her father's chair. It was still there, beside the small wooden table, just the way he left it. Sometimes she would sit on it, hoping to feel him close again. Mrs. Evelyn tried to be strong. She went to the market every day, hoping to find small jobs, washing clothes, helping traders, or carrying loads for people. But many days she came home with nothing but tired feet and an empty stomach. One evening the sky was gray and the wind was cold. Beauty sat on the floor, hugging her knees. She hadn't eaten since morning. Her stomach made a soft sound, and she tried to hide it from her mother. Mrs. Evelyn came in slowly, her eyes red from crying. She looked at her little girl and sighed deeply. "Beauty," she said quietly, sitting beside her. "Yes, Mummy," Beauty replied, her voice soft and sleepy. "My child, life has changed. Your father is gone. I don't have a job or anyone to help me. Things are very hard now." Beauty looked at her mother's face, tired, sad, and full of worry. "Mummy," she whispered, "when will things get better?" She shook her head. "I don't know, my daughter. Only God knows." She took Beauty's small hands in hers. "From now on, you will stop going to school for a while. Maybe next year, when I find something to do, you can go back." Beauty's eyes filled with tears. "But Mummy," she said softly, "I am just 6 years old. I want to go to school. I want to learn like the other children." Mrs. Evelyn frowned, though her heart was breaking inside. "Can you hear what I said? Did your father leave any business for me before he died? Do you want me to steal to train you?" Her voice was sharp, but her heart was full of pain. Beauty looked down, her lips trembling. "I'm sorry, Mummy," she whispered. Mrs. Evelyn turned away quickly so Beauty wouldn't see her tears. That night, when the lamps went out, Beauty lay on her small mat and stared at the ceiling. The sound of crickets filled the air. She thought about her father's smile, his voice, and how he used to carry her on his shoulders. She missed his bedtime stories. She missed the way he called her, "my little sunshine." Quietly, she got up and went to the back of the house. The moonlight fell on her face as she cried. "I wish you were still here, Daddy," she sobbed. "Mummy is sad. I am hungry, and I can't go to school anymore." The tears rolled down her cheeks and fell into the dust. In that moment, she made a small promise in her heart. One day, she would grow up and make her father proud. One day, she would go back to school, no matter how hard life became. The night grew colder, but Beauty stayed there for a long time, whispering to the stars and hoping her father could hear her from heaven. The morning sun rose slowly, spreading its warm light over the quiet village. The birds sang softly on the trees, but to Mrs. Evelyn, the world felt cold and heavy. She tied her old wrapper tightly around her waist, picked up her worn-out handbag, and stepped out of the house. Beauty was still asleep on the thin mat in the corner, her small face calm and innocent. Mrs. Evelyn looked at her for a moment and whispered, "Lord, please help me. I don't know what else to do." The road to the market was dusty and quiet. As she walked, she passed a few women carrying baskets on their heads, chatting and laughing. But she could not smile. Her heart was full of worry. When she reached the market, most of the traders were already arranging their goods: tomatoes, yams, peppers, and clothes. The smell of fried bean cake filled the air, but Mrs. Evelyn's stomach was empty. She went from stall to stall, asking politely, "Please, can you give me some goods to sell on credit? I will pay you when I make sales." Some traders shook their heads. "Times are hard," one woman said. "We can't risk it." Others simply ignored her. Her feet began to ache and her eyes filled with tears. She was about to turn back when she heard two women talking near the palm oil stand. One of them said loudly, "My sister in Lagos has been calling me since yesterday. She needs a house help quickly, someone who can stay with her and help with the children." Mrs. Evelyn stopped walking. Her heart started to beat fast. She took a few steps closer and said softly, "Excuse me, please, did I hear you say your sister needs a house help?" The woman looked at her. "Yes, she does. Why do you ask?" Mrs. Evelyn swallowed hard. "I have someone. She can cook, wash, and sweep very well. She is my daughter. She's small, but she is very hardworking." The second woman's eyes widened in surprise. "Your daughter? But I know your child, Beauty, right? Your husband just died 2 weeks ago, and now you want to send your only daughter away? Can't you find something else to do? Maybe sell vegetables or start a small trade?" Mrs. Evelyn's lips trembled. Tears gathered in her eyes as she spoke. "My sister, I have tried. I have walked all around this market since morning. No one wants to give me goods on credit. There's no food at home. My child cried last night from hunger. What else can I do?" The woman shook her head sadly. "It's not easy, I know. Life can be very cruel sometimes. But Lagos is far. Are you sure this is what you want?" Mrs. Evelyn wiped her tears and nodded slowly. "If it means she will eat and live well, I am ready. Even if my heart will break, I just want her to survive." The woman sighed deeply. "All right then. If that is your decision, my sister will come tomorrow morning. I will tell her about you and your daughter." Mrs. Evelyn whispered, "Thank you." But as she walked away, her heart was heavy. Every step felt painful, like she was walking away from a piece of her soul. When she got home, Beauty ran to her with a smile. "Mommy, you're back. Did you buy something?" Mrs. Evelyn forced a smile and hugged her tightly. "My child," she said softly, "tomorrow someone will come to see us. She will take you to Lagos. You will help her sister there." Beauty looked up in confusion. "Mommy, am I going to live there?" Mrs. Evelyn could not answer. She held her daughter tighter, tears falling silently down her face. Outside, the wind blew softly, carrying away the sound of her quiet sobs. The next morning came too soon. But in Mrs. Evelyn's heart there was no color, only emptiness. Beauty sat quietly in the corner of their small house, hugging her little doll made from old cloth. She didn't know that today would be the day everything would change again. A few hours later, the sound of a car stopped outside. It was a shiny car, bright and clean, like something from another world. Beauty's eyes grew wide. She had never seen such a beautiful car before. From it stepped out a woman dressed in a fine, lovely gown. Her hair was neat, and her smile was gentle. She looked like someone who lived in peace and comfort. She walked toward Mrs. Evelyn's house and greeted politely. "Good morning, Ma." Mrs. Evelyn came out quickly, wiping her hands on her wrapper. "Good morning, madam. You are welcome. Please come inside." The woman stepped in, looked around the small room, and saw Beauty sitting quietly with her doll. Her eyes softened. "This must be Beauty," she said with a smile. "She's so pretty." Beauty stood up shyly and whispered, "Good morning, Ma." The woman smiled and touched her hair. "Good morning, my dear." Mrs. Evelyn cleared her throat. "Madam, I thank you for coming. You said your sister needs a small girl to help in the house. I am ready to give you my daughter. But please," she added quickly, "you will send me her salary every month so I can use it to take care of myself." The woman looked at Mrs. Evelyn surprised. "Salary? You mean you want to send your 6-year-old child to work so she can take care of you?" Mrs. Evelyn frowned. "Yes, things are hard. Her father is dead. There is no one to help us. At least if she works, something will come to me." The woman's face grew sad. She shook her head slowly. "You are her mother. You should protect her. not send her away. You should give her love, not use her to feed yourself. I am ashamed of you, Ma." Mrs. Evelyn turned her face away, her voice hard. "Before her father died, did he set up a business for me? No. Do you want me to beg on the road? I can't suffer for anyone. Please take her. I don't need stress." Tears filled Beauty's eyes. She ran and held her mother's wrapper tightly. "Mommy, please, don't send me away. I will be good. I will help you fetch water. I will wash plates. Please don't let me go." But Mrs. Evelyn did not look at her. She kept her face to the wall. Her heart was closed. Beauty cried louder, her small hands shaking. "Mommy, please, I don't want to go. I will miss you." The woman's eyes filled with tears too. She bent down and lifted Beauty gently into her arms. "My child, it's okay. Don't cry. You'll be safe with me, I promise. I will take care of you." Beauty turned her tearful eyes to her mother one more time. "Mummy, please say goodbye," she whispered. Mrs. Evelyn said nothing. She just stood there, her eyes fixed on the wall, her lips pressed together. The woman carried Beauty outside and opened the car door. Beauty looked out the window as the car started moving. She could still see their little house getting smaller and smaller. She waved her tiny hand. "Mommy, goodbye," she whispered through her tears. But her mother didn't come out. Inside the car, the woman held her close and said gently, "You are safe now, my dear. You will go to school. You will eat well. One day you will grow strong and wise, and maybe one day your mother will understand." Beauty rested her head on the woman's shoulder and cried quietly until she fell asleep. The car disappeared down the dusty road, leaving behind a small house and a mother standing alone, a mother who didn't know that her decision had broken a little girl's heart. When they reached the woman's house, Beauty couldn't believe her eyes. The house was big and beautiful. It had a wide gate that opened slowly as the car entered. The walls were painted white and gold. The flowers by the gate danced in the gentle wind. Beauty pressed her small face against the car window, her eyes wide with wonder. She had never seen a house like this before. Inside, the floor shone like glass. The air smelled sweet, like soap and flowers. Mrs. Clara smiled kindly and held Beauty's hand. "Welcome home, my dear," she said softly. "From today, this is your house, too." Beauty looked around shyly. She didn't know what to say. Her heart was full, half scared, half happy. She remembered her mother's small house with its cracked walls and wooden chair. She missed her mother already. Mrs. Clara noticed the sadness in her eyes. "Don't worry," she said gently. "You will be fine here. You are safe now." She took Beauty to a bright room with pink curtains and a soft bed covered with white sheets. "This will be your room," she said. Beauty looked at the bed and touched it softly. It felt like a cloud. That night, Mrs. Clara brought her food, hot rice, chicken, and fruit juice. Beauty ate slowly, not used to so much food. Afterward, she lay on the soft bed and whispered, "Thank you, God, for this bed and for Mrs. Clara." When she woke up the next morning, she thought she was dreaming. Sunlight filled the room. The birds sang outside her window. Then she remembered she was in Mrs. Clara's house. Mrs. Clara called from downstairs, "Beauty, come and eat breakfast." Her voice was warm and cheerful. Beauty washed her face, combed her hair, and went down carefully. The table was full of food, bread, eggs, milk, and fruit. Mrs. Clara said, "Eat as much as you want, my child." Beauty smiled shyly. "Thank you, Ma." After breakfast, Mrs. Clara said, "Get ready, I'm taking you somewhere special." They entered the shiny car again.
Beauty sat quietly, her small hands on her lap. She was thinking about her mother. She wished her mother could see her now, riding in a car like a princess. When they stopped, she saw a big building with many children wearing uniforms. It was a school. Mrs. Clara turned to her and said, "From today, you will go to school here. Every child deserves to learn, to dream, and to smile." Beauty looked up, her eyes shining. "You mean I can go to school again?" Mrs. Clara nodded. "Yes, my dear, you are my daughter now. I will take care of you." Tears filled Beauty's eyes, but this time they were happy tears. She whispered, "Thank you, Ma. Thank you very much." Mrs. Clara smiled and wiped her tears. "No more crying. You are safe and you are loved." And that night, as she lay on her soft bed, she smiled and whispered again, "Thank you, God, for my new home."
Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Slowly, Beauty's sad eyes began to shine again. She laughed more, played more, and sang sweet songs in the morning. Mrs. Clara was kind and gentle. She didn't just take care of Beauty, she loved her like her own daughter. Beauty started calling her Mummy Clara. Each time she said it, Mrs. Clara's eyes filled with happy tears. "Mummy Clara, can I read this story to you?" Beauty would ask, holding a colorful book. "Of course, my darling," Mrs. Clara would say, smiling warmly. Then Beauty would sit on her lap and begin to read, one slow word at a time. Mrs. Clara taught Beauty many things: how to pray before eating, how to say thank you, how to be honest, and how to believe in herself. Every night she tucked Beauty into bed, covered her with a soft blanket, and kissed her forehead. "Good night, my beautiful girl. Remember, you are loved," she would whisper. Beauty felt safe. She felt something she had not felt in a long time: peace. At school, Beauty did very well. Her teachers loved her for her kind heart and bright smile. She shared her food with classmates who didn't have any and helped others with their homework. Everyone liked her. One afternoon, as Beauty was doing her homework, she looked out of the window and saw the sunset. The golden light reminded her of her mother, Mrs. Evelyn. A tear rolled down her cheek. "Mummy Clara," she said softly, "do you think my real mummy misses me?" Mrs. Clara walked over and sat beside her. She wiped the tear gently and held her close. "I believe she does, my dear," she said. "Sometimes people hurt others, not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to love the right way." Beauty looked up at her with innocent eyes. "So, should I still love her?" she asked. Mrs. Clara smiled and nodded. "Yes, my child. Always love, even when it hurts. Love heals everything." Beauty hugged her tightly. "I forgive her," she whispered. "I forgive my mummy." From that day, Beauty's heart became light and free. She prayed for her mother every night, asking God to help her and make her happy too. Years later, Beauty grew into a strong, wise young girl. Her heart was full of kindness, not bitterness. She had learned one of life's greatest lessons: that love is stronger than pain, and forgiveness brings peace. And that was how Beauty found the love that heals. Years passed quickly. Beauty was no longer the small, frightened girl who once cried in the dark. She was now 12, tall, bright, and full of dreams. Mrs. Clara had kept every promise she made. She sent Beauty to school, helped her with homework, and taught her to pray before every meal. She took her to church every Sunday and reminded her, "God can turn pain into purpose, my child." Beauty loved to read and draw. She often drew pictures of smiling families: a mother, a father, and a little girl holding their hands. Sometimes when Mrs. Clara saw those drawings, She smiled sadly and hugged Beauty close. "You're my little sunshine," she would whisper. One peaceful evening, after dinner, the house was quiet. The golden sunset shone through the window, painting the walls with warm light. Mrs. Clara called softly, "Beauty, come sit with me." Beauty came, holding her notebook. She sat beside her on the couch, curious. "Yes, Mummy Clara?" Mrs. Clara looked at her for a moment, her eyes kind but serious. "Beauty," she said gently, "there's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time." Beauty blinked. "What is it, Mummy?" Mrs. Clara took a deep breath. "When I met your mother that day, I wasn't looking for a house help. I saw how poor and desperate she was, and my heart broke for you. I just wanted to help, to give you a chance at a better life." Beauty's eyes widened. "So you didn't want me to work for you?" Mrs. Clara shook her head slowly, tears in her eyes. "No, my dear. I wanted you to live, to smile again, to know that you were loved. You are not my maid. You are my daughter." Beauty's eyes filled with tears. She hugged Mrs. Clara tightly and whispered, "Mummy Clara, I love you. Thank you for loving me when I had no one." They stayed like that for a long time, two hearts beating as one. It felt like love had built a bridge between their past and their future. Later that night, Beauty sat by her window, watching the stars. She thought of her mother, the woman who once gave her away. Was she still alive? Did she ever think about her? A tear rolled down Beauty's cheek, but this time it wasn't a tear of pain. It was a tear of forgiveness. She turned slowly toward the camera, her voice soft but strong. "If you were in my shoes, could you really love the woman who sold you out as a house help?"